After all these years, I'm still finding articles on the internet about what is keto, how to do keto, and I found one that was published just a couple of days ago. You didn't see it. Let's see if they figured it out.
Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat.
Different beginning today.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I shouldn't be looking at the screen. Okay. Stop.
No. You should be looking at the screen right now.
Oh, am I going to look at the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, gaining traction in recent years, the keto diet is a popular weight loss plan.
So, I guess some people consider keto a popular weight loss plan. For anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time, it's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I make sure that I tell people it's a lifestyle is it's not something that you start and do for weight loss. And then what happens next? If you don't see this as a new lifestyle, you're going to go back to eating regular food, and then you are in trouble because you just yo-yo dieted.
Yeah, probably gaining traction. I mean, like become more mainstream, like with like celebrities talking about it, and like I told you today, I saw Halle Berry that's been on it for 30 years, and
gaining traction in recent years implies that it's kind of new. And it's not. So this is, I just might want to point that out because people are going to read this article and go, oh, this is a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been around for a long time. There's lots of good quality information on it. And then there's lots of, we don't know what's going to be in the rest of this article kind of information. Yeah. So I just want to point that out because it is a diet that's been around. So as a diet, in terms of helping people to solve a problem, yes, it's been around for epilepsy for many years.
So what is a ketogenic diet? Like, again, it's a high fat, very low carb, like eating plan that aims to bring about weight loss. For me personally, I have a little thing with the high fat, low carb.
One of the things that stresses me out when they call keto a high fat diet is it gives people this misperception that it's about adding fat to your food. Theoretically, if I've got two energy sources and I keep them both at this level, which is standard American diet, by the way, high fat, high carb, then theoretically, if I take the carbohydrates down to 20 grams, this now looks like a high-fat diet, but it's not actually. I was eating the same amount of fat before. Now, same amount of fat. So now let's take that piece to another look. Theoretically, if I'm doing standard American diet, and the average person doing standard American diet is not doing a low-fat situation. People who are dieting are doing low fat. I'm talking about the average everyday Joe eating hamburgers, pizza, steak and potatoes. They're not doing a low fat diet. No. So that person, if you do keto, this is what you've done. Everybody else who's trying to lose weight on still using standard American diet but trying to lose weight is doing this. So now you're just doing this. You're taking the carb out and you're putting back what you should have been eating in the first place.
But I was more thinking the person that buy the low fat dressing for the salad, eats a lot of vegetables, prefer the low fat cuts of meat, like eat chicken breast instead of chicken legs. Like at some point, would that person lack a little bit of fat in their diet? My point is,
if you're doing a ketogenic lifestyle, you actually need to eat a normal amount of fat.
Yeah, because at this point, like you're like don't have fat, you don't have carbs. If you switch to keto without changing your cut of meats, without adding like the little bit of fat of the meat, if you like,
that's my point though. Yeah. That's my point, is that you would have to eat a normal. You're not doing low fat anymore, which is why they're eating chicken breast, which is why they're eating salad dressing without fat in it, which has sugar in it, by the way, which is why they're not doing that. So like you're switching. That's what you're doing. You're switching. You're actually going to go back to eating a normal. You know, I watched this guy talking about making pizza I don't even know why I ended up on his video. He was making pizza. He lived, I think, in Tuscany, which is over in Italy, right? And he was talking, and what he said was that salad was invented so that we could eat olive oil. It is a carrying device to get olive oil into our body. And he said pizza is the other one. Put olive oil on everything, he was saying, because that's so. It's this idea that we've somehow fallen away from, that there are certain oils that are just absolutely healthy for us to have, that we should be aiming at having them in our diet.
Yeah.
The fat that comes along with the meat being the first one, eggs, right? Those yolks.
Yeah.
And then naturally occurring oils.
Yeah.
So olive oil, avocado oil, all the naturally occurring oils.
Yeah. So we're never going to push like that idea of a high fat diet. We push the idea of a low carb or no carb, like no carb is like maybe impossible, but a really low carb diet. We don't push for adding stuff like
the reason Pat is saying no carb is impossible is because there are actually carbohydrates in meat.
Maybe, yeah.
We don't think about it, but they're there.
So the keto diet not only promises weight loss, but claims to reduce hunger and help balance blood sugar. Sure. However, it can be a difficult protocol to follow. Like what caught my attention is it has very strict rules. Very strict rules on a keto diet. There's actually one damn rule.
One rule, and it's not strict. I mean, it's strict, but it's like it's normal. So here, okay, so I want to back up because they said claims to reduce hunger. When did you ever hear that keto reduces hunger? Eating food reduces hunger. On keto, do we eat food? Yes, we do. Is our hunger reduced? Yes, it is. But do we have less hunger than everybody else in the world? No. We are hungry when our body needs energy and building blocks, like everybody else on the planet. And pointing this out because my daughter is not keto. And yet, how many times do I talk to her about what did she eat today? And she had 2 meals. She had no snacks, no nothing. She was home all day. She had 2 things. She had breakfast and then supper.
I think most of the time she has like 2 meals.
Yeah.
Even not.
But I'm saying the days that she doesn't have any snacks. So I'll ask her, what do you have for snack? And she's like, nothing. 2 meals. And she's not keto. So is this about being keto? No. It's about allowing yourself to follow your hunger. The one thing that I'm proud of that I did for her was make sure that she got to choose when she was hungry. I never forced a meal on her. If I was hungry, I ate my meal. She could eat hers whenever she wanted to. And she still follows that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this idea that it reduces hunger, no, it doesn't. It doesn't suppress hunger. It doesn't reduce hunger. What it does is if you are doing what the doctors ask you to do, eat only when hungry instead of eating at 12 o'clock, instead of eating because someone offered it to you, instead of eating, like, so all the reasons that we end up eating when we're not hungry, but then end up being pushed to eat more because we're eating when we're not.
I did put in green like the because like further in the article, like they have quotes about that person, a certified specialist in obesity and weight management and a bariatric coordinator at the university, blah 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 blah. So just like to put in
bariatric coordinator at the Emory University Hospital means that this person is being consulted by people who are planning to have bariatric surgery, which is the surgery that we do to lose weight. And this is a great example of when I read what your credentials are, now I'm iffy on why are you telling me what you're telling me about keto.
The first quote being, I don't know anybody who would be able to follow this diet for a long period of time. Like
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Dr. Westman has like plus 20 years.
Yeah.
Dr. Berg, I think another plus 10, or I don't remember exactly when he started, but plus 10 years for sure. Who else?
I saw an article like this morning.
Sean Baker, many years. Okay, not just doctors. Halle Berry,
2 years.
30 years. I'm sorry.
Like
it's not hard. And yes, it can be done for many years because you get healthier and healthier the more you do it.
What is ketosis? Your body prefers to burn glucose containing carbs for energy.
Of course it does, because prefers to burn it. Our body preferentially focuses on carbohydrates because they're toxic and it's better for me to be alive. So of course my body's going to swoop in, grab the carbohydrates and do something productive with it. Use it as energy. And then it's going to do the next best thing with the rest of it, because we can't use all of that as energy. It's going to put it in storage in fat cells to keep it from killing me. So yes, of course, it seems preferential, but can I point something else out? Your body also preferentially focuses on alcohol before carbohydrates. Does that mean that alcohol is a better source of energy? No, it doesn't. It just means that alcohol is more toxic to the body than carbohydrates.
That's what I like in your. I know you're gonna say that, but that's what I like with your interpretation of prefers. But reading the article, obviously they mean that, oh, your body prefers carb over fat for energy, and that's not the case. Like they like it needs to eliminate it for it not to kill you. So you need to read between the lines like here. So
And most people are not going to read between the lines. That's why these kind of articles always frustrate me. Most people who have not spoken to doctors or watched videos from doctors, or even are able to understand those doctors' articles or conferences because they don't have the medical background, are not going to really understand when the doctor is saying that glucose is preferentially focused on first because of the toxic nature of and using all these gigantic ideas and words. That they're not going to understand what it boils down to is if your body doesn't get rid of glucose, you will die.
Okay, what I
get rid of, store it away safely as fat. Violet, say the right words because you want to make sure. Store it away safely as fat. That's what your body does. It neutralizes it.
So another good example of having to read between the lines, because your body prefers to burn glucose than fat. No, it may resist shifting into ketosis and will not do unless you're adhere strictly to carb and protein limits.
Your body resists going into ketosis because your body is used to having large amounts of carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are addictive. And so therefore, if I'm addicted to something and I don't get it, think alcohol. If I don't get it, think cocaine. If I don't get it, think heroin. What happens to those people? I'm not going to point at you. I'm going to point back at myself. On the days, so the 3 days that I didn't have carbs, the first 4, did I Jones for some carbs? Yes, I did. Was my head killing me? Yes, it was. Did I feel nauseous? Yes, I did. Was I sweating like a crazy person? Even though, like all the symptoms of withdrawal hit me like a ton of bricks because I was addicted to carbohydrates and I didn't know. As are every other person on the planet that's eating 300 grams of carbs per day. You are addicted to carbohydrates and you don't. I know this is not a popular thing to say. This is why people get mad at me. But you are addicted to carbohydrates and you don't know. You say things like, I like bread. I like No, you don't. You're addicted to bread. You can't not eat potatoes. You can't not eat chips and cookies and ice cream and right? The same way that when I want nuts and it's because I'm addicted, right? And that's why I don't touch them anymore.
You're too good. You read all my answers that I knew you were good. You were gonna go, so you're gonna have 100%. Okay, so I'm
Is this
scrolling.
A test?
Yeah, I like some kind of test. Okay, keto diet foods, the best foods.
Keto lifestyle foods. Okay.
Yeah, keto lifestyle foods. Okay. So such as.
So there are best foods for the keto diet. Keto lifestyle, so they're acknowledging that there's some best foods, even though it's a horrible thing that you're not going to be able to adhere to.
To be honest, the article was, although there's something we have like to say on it, like it was relatively well balanced. Like there's some like you'll see.
I didn't read the article, so maybe I'll
avocado, eggs, fats, olive oil, palm oil. Though I'm not so sure about it. Like
I'm not 100% sure either.
Okay.
Coconut.
So butter, lard, like you see, like fish, shellfish, low carb, non-starchy vegetable, leafy greens, meat, poultry, cheese, nuts. I did put nuts in yellow because you need to be careful with the nuts you choose.
I feel like there was a video Dr. Berg did where he kind of went through all the different nuts and how many carbs they have, and it's amazing to me, like to really see, so there are some that are really low, like macadamia, and then there's walnuts and pecans, and then there are some that are super high.
Yeah.
Do your research, know what's in 100 grams so you can make good decisions.
You don't want to put in yellow because I'm not sure that I agreed.
Olives and seeds we didn't say, or did we say?
Sorry, olives and seed. Yeah, olives and seed, they're good for sure. Seeds are better than nuts. I think most of whether you go with pumpkin seeds or
usually seeds are usually better than nuts. But I will also just caution people again, see how you react. Right? Like I did find that I didn't find them sweet, and that's now my go-to test. If I eat something and it tastes sweet to me, I know I'm playing with fire.
If you're on a weight loss trajectory, avoid those because they're really energy dense. Like a little, like a cup of not a cup like a full cup, but like a little container, like a 30 gram or 40 grams of pumpkin seed will give you like a 400 calories, but you don't even They're addictive, so you want to eat more. Like that's my problem with nuts.
So here's where I find it interesting, because when we were on our weight loss, well, when I was on my weight loss trajectory, let me talk about myself. I was eating nuts the whole time.
Okay.
Right? I was having nuts at the end of my meal.
How about you were measuring? Oops.
Right? But because I was on a weight loss trajectory, and I was still early in the process, that little bit of nuts, first of all, I was able to eat the serving, and I didn't chase it because, first of all, I was still doing what Dr. Berg had asked. So I was eating all of those vegetables and blah, 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 blah. It truly, I feel, came more of an addictive nature to it came as my carb count just kept coming down. Like, so I think for myself, I've said it more than once, I'm at 18 before I start to feel kind of like, so when I was still on a weight loss trajectory, I was still getting close-ish to 20. And so with the amount of things I was eating, it didn't matter. But once I got like down to my like weight and then like 18, see, all of a sudden I started to taste the sweet and the nuts. All of a sudden. So I do feel, just to go to what you're saying, I don't think it was the calorie amount that was that, because I lost the weight eating them. I feel like it's what happens when you get to a place where truly you've taken so much carb out of your life that the spark for dopamine, the spark for serotonin, the spark, like it's now so much lower, right? If you think, again, go back to the alcoholic example. If you haven't had alcohol for a long time and you have a little bit, you get loopy versus when you're drinking it all the time, the amount that, so I think the same thing happens to us because I barely eat any carb. As soon as I taste cashews and when I tell you it tastes sweet, like seriously, it tastes sweet. Like I feel like I've had a little bit of sugar in my mouth somehow. It's like I actually taste it compared to, for example, pecans don't taste sweet to me. Walnuts don't taste. I haven't had a macadamia in a while, so I don't know. But pecans and walnuts I have had, fine. Cashews, peanuts.
But even with the walnut and the pecans, my problem is I don't, like, probably you were able to do it, but like my problem is I don't get satisfied with 30 grams. So it's 60 grams or it can be 90 grams, or like I go for a second like
when
serving,
I was doing the weight loss
like,
trajectory, though, sweetheart, remember what size of the little container I was taking? It was not.
Nothing.
It was.
No, it was.
It was at least. I was having 3. I was having cashews.
I remember.
I was having a good amount of nuts, and I was still on a weight loss trajectory because, again, this part of the process I was in. Right. I only had to give them up later when I started to be chasey after them, but that happened much later for me because. But I was already I was already here.
Okay, berries in very limited amounts. That's fine. A quarter cup is nothing. Like if you do a quarter cup of raspberries, that's going to be 4, probably that's going to be like fitting in. So it's not bad, but like I did put in yellow.
That's the place where I let go of that very early. All the fruit, well, I don't like fruit, so that was easy for me. But I remember when you gave me a strawberry, which I did like strawberries, and you gave me the strawberry and it kicked me in the face. So I let go of fruit very early because of that. It was too sweet.
Another one, dark chocolate, cocoa powder, dark chocolate. I would say you have to aim for 80-85% cacao. Like you're still gonna have a 3-4 net carbs on that serving. But if I remember correctly, a serving on the package is usually 4 square. That would give you like 4 or 5 net carbs. 1 square, like 4 or 5
net carb though out of a 20
if you
net carb.
Square.
But I'm just saying 4 or 5 net carb on a 20 net carb day is like that's 20% of your 20% of your day.
They do fall in the category of fun foods, like, and we
there's no reason to eat it.
When we try to avoid them, like the funnier the
I don't
food,
try to avoid it. I ask myself a very smart question. I'm trying to avoid it. I just look at it. It's like, what building block is this for me? I'm not trying to avoid it. If I'm going to eat something, see, like even when I eat nuts, yes, there are things in there that's actually going to build me, so I can see it. Right? What building block is there for me in chocolate? So if there's something in it that I don't know, okay, fine, then that's the reason people eat it, then fine. But on my side of things, it just looks like something that if I end up liking it, it's one more thing then that I'm going to have to fight with myself about. And I let it go because I wasn't liking it.
So I was kind of surprised and relatively happy with like their meal plan, where I feel like there were kind of weird in their article, first paragraph, so restrictive, and I could see myself applying that meal plan all the time with some minor modifications. In fact, like, and then there's nothing restrictive in there. First thing you can see that they have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack.
So what I'm going to say is that as soon as you see something like that, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack, well, I can see the breakfast, lunch, and dinner because theoretically, if you're just starting this, you're still going to be eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So breakfast is probably going to fall away at some point. But snack, if you understand what a ketogenic lifestyle is about, the first thing you understand is that snacking is not towards your health. Now, so we said there was one rule, but the one rule is towards a goal. If I take my carbohydrate intake down, the positive that you get for your body that makes your health improve is you're not spiking your insulin every 5 seconds. What spikes insulin? Sugar mostly, so the highest. But what does spike insulin is eating at all. As soon as you eat, even fat, there is going to be a slight spike in insulin. A rise. Shouldn't call it a spike. There's going to be a slight rise in insulin. So a snack, no matter how good of a quality of a snack, is still a snack. Not good.
So the first one, for example, a breakfast frittata, so eggs, bacon, cheese, mushrooms, like that's fine. For lunch, like a tuna, salad, lettuce wrap. So like we eliminated the flour wrap for lettuce wraps. That was like, thumbs up. Cheese, veggie, well, okay, cheese, veggie pizza made on a keto-friendly cauliflower crust. Sure, we did try the cauliflower crust once. Didn't turn out good. Mixed nut with square of dark chocolate. So, like, good. Okay, so let's go like Tuesday.
Keto granola?
Keto granola. Almonds, pecans, pumpkin seeds, coconut flakes, butter. Fine. Turkey cheese roll-ups with low-carb veggies and ranch dip. The roll-ups, though, turkey and cheese roll-up. Oh, yeah. You can just, like, I think we did that, like, once we went on a beach or something. We didn't know what to eat. We had cooked ham, sliced cheese. You just roll it, and, like, if you're hungry, like, that's fine.
Supper?
2 avocado stuffed with ground beets, lettuce, tomato, sour cream, cheese. Fine. The snack beef jerky, though, I did put it in yellow because look at the ingredient. Most of the time they do dry it out and it do put sugar, so it could easily one serving be 8-9 grams of carbs with the sugar, and they do add sugar in that.
I have a comment, but what I want to do first before I give my comment, let's go to the yellow things.
Okay, so yes,
so fat bombs.
Okay, so like on the Wednesday there are fat bombs. Fat bombs are okay on the keto diet, but unnecessary, I would say.
So fat bombs is still encouraging snacking, but okay.
Snacking and adding fat that you don't really need on a diet. Like you just like have your fat from the, if I keep going, okay, now I'm starting to see like onions, like be careful with the onions. They're high in carb.
I'm curious about the pork rinds being highlighted. Is it just because it's in the snack?
Because no, because I do eat a lot of pork rinds, but usually I do either dip it in salsa, like a low carb salsa, or with my avocado. Now it was just like that. You don't like pork rinds like that. I don't mind, but yeah, it's just like they're fine. They're zero carb.
To me, I say it's as a snack, and that's why I say no. But okay, because it's still gonna give you a rise in insulin. So
yeah, but they're zero carb. Another one, Friday onions
again. Like, so berries on the the snack. Okay.
Yeah. And like Saturday, like a handful of berries, but like handful for me, handful and a quarter cup, like it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
how big is my hand? With whipped heavy cream. So you're doing sugar, which could end up being high sugar because you've said a handful.
Yeah.
And then you're adding fat.
Yeah.
So that's a possibly.
And Sunday, like the last one, at least there was one. It was one time, and I could see that people like in the weekend with their family do pancakes and stuff. But like the keto pancakes with the almond flour and coconut flour. Like there's no like they talk about topped with butter and shredded coconut, fine. But
where's
like,
the protein?
There's no it's the why
almond butter.
No, it's the breakfast, like
okay.
the broccoli maybe is.
No, I'm just okay. So again, like basically, whenever you use almond flour or coconut flour, you're getting an increased amount of the thing. So like if you were actually a serving of nuts versus how much almond flour is actually, so how many nuts are in that almond? So because almond flour is just crushed almonds.
Yeah.
So and even the coconut flour, how much coconut would you actually eat as a serving versus eating crushed coconut? So these are the things to be careful with.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say, and I want to go down to see like, so was there more information for these meals?
No. This was just like a meal plan, an example meal plan.
Okay, so my problem with this meal plan is that I don't hear or see anywhere, but maybe I'm wrong and you're going to tell me if it was in the article, where they're asking you to weigh what this stuff is, measure what this stuff is, know for sure that you're under 20 grams. Because I can tell you 100%, when we were doing our research on the keto pancakes, the size of the keto pancake was like that, like this little teeny tiny, like maybe, 2 inches, I think they said, for an adult. 2 inches. Now, the chance that you're going to make keto pancakes at home and eat a 2-inch pancakes is very, very low. So you're going to overeat your carbs on a lot of these meals because they're not telling you to keep your onions very low because onions are high in carbs. So they're giving you information, but only like part of the information. So that's the part that scares me about that meal plan.
What I did find interesting in that menu, at least going from standard American diet to that, is leaps and bounds, like in terms of health.
This is not hard to do. Like, I mean, honestly, like they made it sound at the beginning, oh, it's so hard to do.
Super restrictive,
and this, if this is what you were eating every day, which I doubt you'd be, like, I doubt without more instruction that you would do it keto, but you might be low carb doing that. The issue that I see here is that if I come from standard American diet and I do this diet, and of course I'm going to do better, my weight's going to start to come down, and when I plateau, I'm going to blame keto. When in fact I don't have all the information. So because this, you will plateau at some point because there's nothing talking to you about serving sizes here. There's nothing talking to you about buying a good scale and weighing your food and and checking your carb count. Which actually, when they talked about keto, did they mention the 20 grams or less?
They I think so, but they were talking more about the 50 grams total. So
okay, 50 total. Okay.
I think like it's a viable option if you really like don't know where to start and like you have a full week of interesting food. Like,
can I pause there for a second? As you said, you think it's an interesting place to start if you don't know what to make. But I just want to point out something, because if I don't know what to make, I don't understand what's happening. Because whatever I was cooking before, take the carbohydrates down to like what were you cooking before? You were eating something, right? Unless you were not eating any meat ever, not eating any eggs or fish ever, the chance that you don't know what to make is very low. It's likely a matter of pulling out some of those vegetables that were too high in carb, and it's very likely getting rid of the processed foods, right? Bread and all that stuff. And of course, you're going to have to get the rice off your plate. You're going to have to get the potatoes off your plate. You're going to have to get the pasta off your plate. But like when people say to me, I don't know what to cook, I have a hard time with that because you must have been eating meat. It's really... If you really don't know, put a salad beside your meat with a normal fat dressing.
It's interesting what you're saying because it leads me to like something I forgot to mention, like following that blindly, that recipe. For sure, at some point your body's gonna adapt, like get rid of the sugar. You're gonna go through your keto flu that we're like that we often talk about. But you still need to listen to your body. There's still some nightshades there. Maybe you're gonna notice that you react to them after getting rid of the sugar.
I don't think the sugar's low enough for most people to react yet. That depends on how low down they go. Like if you actually get it to 20, yes, you might react eventually. But if you're doing that at a 150, I don't think it'll be enough. So
get this as a source of inspiration, but listen to your body after like a while to see if maybe you're reacting to some like food that are still in the menu.
I wish they would have talked about numbers. But then of course they might have talked about percentages, but we're talking 20 grams of carb or less, like that number. If you're trying to do that, I feel like it's going to really tweak the way you make these meals.
Let's go through the benefits of a keto diet because they do state some benefits. For sure, weight loss. But what I put in yellow, it found that keto-style diets are no better than other types of diets, such as low-fat diets, at bringing about long-term weight loss.
That is absolutely false.
I was like, I was like
that is absolutely false. Actually, every single research shows that keto diets, in terms of long-term, if you maintain being keto, has a much better trajectory. And as a matter of fact, add to that, every bit of research shows that if you do keto, you actually lose more weight. Like the low fat diets, there is a real plateau that happens because as you're doing low fat, your carbohydrates are high. You're fighting with your body because it's still storing those carbohydrates. So like this is back and forth thing happening, that after about 6 months, your body starts to stabilize itself in an effort to manage the energy that's coming in, because you do a calorie deficit. So you brought not only your fat down, you also brought your carb count down. Not enough energy to run violet means that my body starts recalculating. So brain has to get all the energy it's supposed to get. The rest of my body, what happens? My metabolism slows down. And of course, then my weight loss stops. And now the only way to keep losing weight is to do another shift down in calorie count. How many times can I do that before I'm not getting enough energy and my body just totally pushes me to eat?
On top of that, like you might manage to keep your weight down, but like just think about all the damage you're doing to your system, like because
The carbs.
the carbs. Low fat means more carbs, so you're probably gonna end up using Caesar dressing that has weight, because instead of oils they're gonna use water and sugar to make that consistency a little bit like better for the salad. So all the additional sugar you put in your system, now you're probably at 300-400 grams of carbs per day. Like yeah, you might be thin, but you might be sick.
And talking about long term, because they're saying long term, that Minnesota women's study that happened, and I can't remember what, but those women were 10 years on a decreased calorie and they lost a grand total of 0. 0. They all went back to their original weight, but yet eating restricted that entire time. So like we know that low calorie doesn't work, like calorie deficit doesn't work, right? Calories in, calories out, it doesn't work. Your body is not a machine.
The high fat content of the keto diet may also be satiating. For sure, like I can see how they interpret less hunger as your insulin is not spiked as often, and like your hunger kind of stabilizes, because when you eat like you're not chasing. If you eat a low fat
They're dying.
You're dying. If you eat a low fat diet, you're having more sugar and you constantly spike your insulin to be able to put away that sugar so you don't die. So that's maybe why they're dying. But like but yeah, like
you're gonna chase carbs after because you need energy
all the time.
And so like they're saying though you have less hunger. It's interesting to me that people keep trying to say you have less hunger. You have appropriate levels of hunger. If I'm eating what my body needs and only what my body needs, then of course I'm not going to feel hungry all the time. It's just like I'm not spiking my insulin. My body isn't taking all this lovely it's carbohydrates. It's not taking all this energy that's coming in, storing it as fat, and then saying go get more.
That's the thing.
Which is what happens when you eat high carb.
And that's why you're hungry all the time. Like you need to understand that like that's the source of you needing a breakfast, a snack, a lunch, a snack, a supper, and a snack. Like if you're based solely on carbohydrates, like you're chasing all the time. Blood sugar control. Again here, however, similar results have been shown with other kinds of diets that are easier to follow. But like it's
easier to follow.
Yeah. So which ones? Like there's like a low fat diet. A low fat diet will definitely not be good for your blood sugar.
So here's what I'm going to point out with this one. As you're saying, well, if similar results are shown, it's not reality. My body will control my carbohydrate intake, so my carbohydrate levels in my blood, until it can't. What does that mean? We have to be careful. If I'm eating whichever diet, insert whichever diet, right? As long as my body is healthy enough to keep me at 5, it will keep me at 5 until it, like, so my liver, my pancreas, when that starts to become damaged, now we're 5.1 and we're 5.2 and the number starts going up. Why? Because there's damage. Now, when she's saying all the other diets, if I'm doing a diet that continues to allow carbohydrates to be relatively high, so relatively, standard American diet is the highest possible. Paleo is not as bad. Vegetarian and veganism are really, really high as well, right? So it depends on the diet I'm doing. If I continue to do a diet where the carbohydrate incoming is high, that number is just going to keep coming up. And keep coming up. And guess what? You might wish your body to do something different than it's doing. Your body will do what's healthiest for you until it cannot do it anymore. So don't think that because we don't want the sugar to affect us this way, it's going to affect us differently. Your body is going to put that sugar away as fat, and it's going to try to manage its best. And then when it can't, you're diabetic. And that's just what happens.
Lower triglycerides. Yeah, actually, this one, I think this is the only one that was positive. A 2020 review of the journal found that the keto diet led to decreases in triglycerides as well as blood pressure during the first but they say again it's positive, but as well as blood pressure towards the bottom of the paragraph, the first 6 to 12 months, but those effects disappeared after 12 months. But you're stabilized, I guess, your triglyceride after 12 months. You're high, you're not good, and then you'll, of course, at some point, you're going to stabilize at the good levels.
What I find interesting is that it should have been the opposite. What I'm saying is, for most people, so when I started keto, one of the things that the doctors were saying in their information was, during this period of time, it's probably not a good idea for you to get a blood test because you're breaking down fat. And all your numbers are going to seem high. So actually, I find that sounds to me like it's backwards. I don't know, but that sounds the opposite. It should be in the first six months to the first year, basically, that your numbers should have gotten higher. And then stabilized and gotten then improved. So that confuses me, but I really, this is what I remember when I was starting, that they said, try your best not to go for a blood test during this period of time. Your doctor's going to try to put you on medication.
They were thinking about more cholesterol, in my case.
But all of it. It's all of it. Because you're breaking down fat, right? So how can I not have more triglycerides floating around in my blood if I'm breaking down fat? So as a curiosity question for me, again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say 100% for sure, but this is what I remember. So I feel like it's backwards what they're saying.
Yeah. And blood pressure, of course, I think it probably more to do with the weight than the keto itself, because I do keto-ish and I have high blood pressure, but I have weight to lose. So
but what I would say for the blood pressure is I do believe that every doctor again says that if you're doing keto, your blood pressure is going to get better. So you know, it's that's why you're supposed to be followed if you're taking medication, because you can end up going really far down. So that's something that I also hear. The one little part there is that triglycerides. I'm not 100% sure.
But you see, in the risk, they're talking about high saturated fat. So but most keto diets are high in food that contains saturated fat, such as meat, butter, palm oil, coconut oil. Meat, butter, you can have those when you're on the standard American diet. Most people do. So it can raise the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. So yeah, but like you just said, maybe especially at the beginning of your keto journey, maybe your cholesterol levels and fat levels are going to be a little bit out of whack.
I'm not a doctor, but what I remember about cholesterol is that every doctor was saying that your cholesterol count is not going to be negatively impacted by eating healthy fats and healthy protein sources, because 3,000 milligrams of or micrograms of cholesterol that we're supposed to have every day, it was 3,000 to 5,000, but it's a really huge number, and that if we don't eat it, our body will make it, first of all. But second of all, that they were talking about how cholesterol transports the important elements that heal our body, and so therefore, of course, it's seen at sites of heart failure and whatever, because it's there to help, not because it's there causing damage. So there's a lot of this stuff where you have the high density and the low density and whatever, and yes, do you see shifts in numbers? But the doctors were not concerned. So all that to say, if you have a keto-friendly doctor that you can consult with, if you're concerned about this, consult. Because from my recollection and what the information that I have, these things that they keep pointing us towards about heart disease, first of all the keto-friendly doctors are saying they're looking at the wrong thing. That's not what's causing the problem. They're saying sugar is actually what's causing the problem, because it's causing damage to the arteries, which is what's causing you to have the heart problem. So again, do your research, is what this comes back to, your research.
Actually, even though the doctor, because I did a blood test a couple of weeks ago, triglycerides were good, HDL was good. The only number that was a little bit higher than the range was the LDL. But even though doctor was not a particularly keto-friendly doctor, he didn't seem to be alarmed by that number I got. Poor diet quality, because the keto diet leaves out or limit entire groups of healthy foods, fruits,
vegetables, legumes, whole grains and dairy.
yeah, it may not provide all the nutrients that you need. That's completely false.
And can cause constipation.
That
What's
was
the
for you.
other thing that causes us to go to the bathroom? Fat. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I read these things and it's just like,
No,
this-
yeah. See,
okay,
like, it's,
but you know what? I'm just gonna say, when they talk about like leaving out fruits and vegetables, we eat vegetables. I hate when I see that.
Yeah. But then again, like we talked about that 15 minutes ago with that nice like meal plan with like vegetables and stuff, and like then like
They turn around and say,
turn around and said it's a poor quality diet. We just like put a meal plan that was amazing. It's weird. Yeah, because like the keto diet may pose risk for people with various health conditions, including high blood pressure, heart disease, disordered eating, diabetes, kidney disease. Like the keto diet is supposed to fix all of that.
this diet, this is not a diet that individuals with any type of health condition should be doing on their own. I agree with that. But that's not the risk of the diet. That's the risk of you were eating poorly for 20 whatever years, and now you're trying to fix it without assistance. Truth. If you are taking any kind of medication, you should be followed while you're doing your keto diet. Any kind of medication, because what you eat impacts what your body does and how your body treats the medication. So I agree with that part, but it's not a risk because of the diet. It's a risk because of how you were eating before you started to do the diet. You were on the medication because of the way you were eating, not because of keto.
Side effects. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
side effects.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting too because they do the whole paragraph on basically keto flu, and they.
So they're
If I
saying
do
the
that,
side
you don't-
they're
not
saying
gonna
the
see-
side effect
Yeah.
of being on a keto diet is withdrawal symptoms.
That's not this like.
That's
yeah,
not a side
like-
effect. Again, that's you were addicted to sugar and now you're getting off. Of course, you're going to have withdrawal symptoms the same way that any other drug you're getting off, you have withdrawal symptoms.
And of course, you just said at the beginning of the video that how like hard it was like getting through those 3-4 days. But it's 3-4 days. It's not gonna last like forever. Those.
Of course, it will last forever if you do keto the way that they're going to explain it to you, because you're going to be in and out, in and
Oh,
out,
yeah,
in and out,
sure,
in and
like-
out, and that's what
just like-
causes keto
Yeah.
people. That's what causes people who are trying to do keto and not getting their information from good sources to have keto flu symptoms for months because you're not actually doing keto. That's the part that's so frustrating to me. You take all this energy and effort to bring your carb count down, but still not far enough so that you cycle in and out and in and out of ketosis, which means that you repeatedly live keto flu. Because if I'm an alcoholic and I go a month without drinking and then I have a drink, I'm going to have 7. And what happens when I stop drinking? I go through my withdrawal again and cycle. And we do that to ourselves. And when we say that keto flu lasts forever, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't. So the pro tip of the article.
Pro tip.
The pro tip, the pro probably of that lady.
Wait, let me brace myself.
Benefit of the keto diet is that it can help reduce your added sugar intake, that's for sure. But you don't have to follow a keto diet to accomplish this feat. Cut back the sweet stuff by reading food labels and limiting to avoid food with added sugar. The American Heart Association, we know them, recommends limiting added sugar to no more than 36 grams per day for men and 25 grams for women. I think it's the same as the World Health Organization. They don't recommend that you eat more than 30 grams of added sugar, but then again, it's added sugar. Like you add sugar to your stuff, to your coffee. It's not like they don't count fruits. They don't count like everything that super high in carbs like pasta and bread. So
what I'm going to point out here, and this is something that I want you guys to think about. My body works really hard to keep me at 5 grams of carb in my blood. So 5 grams of sugar in my blood at any moment in time. If you go up enough, you become diabetic. Right? So if my body cannot keep me at 5, at some point I become diabetic. And what this woman is trying to have us believe is that if I just cut out the added sugar, so I keep my added sugar to 36 and 25, but I still allow myself to eat rice and pasta and and all the other stuff.
and fruits.
So let's say I do 250 grams instead of 350 grams a day. That's not going to affect you. That I'm eating 250 grams of carbohydrate. What does my body do with that?
Yeah, so fat.
So
Still.
your body has 2 options. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Violet. Violet's body has 2 options. Let her die or put it away as fat. What do you think my body's going to do?
Yeah. So that's fat. Of course.
So we can believe this person that you don't have to do keto, because you don't. You don't have to do keto. Any other diet is going to be just as effective, right? Or we can use common sense and think to ourselves, wow, if I keep my carb count as low as I possibly can keep it, Violet aims for under 18. Most days, Violet doesn't even reach 5. Understand that. Most days, Violet does not even reach 5. She's telling you to do 250, it's no problem. Like, do 250, do 200, do it's no problem. So you don't have to be like me. I'm just pointing out that that kind of article frustrates me like no end, because it's her job to get all of us to do that bariatric surgery.
Yeah.
Right? And we're at the end of the article. I'm reminding you what her job is. Where does she work? Why? Because it influences how she's talking about a diet that could not only help you with your weight, but help you to arrange any metabolic problems that you have. I have a lot of like hesitation in that last paragraph.
Yeah. I really miss doing those review videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it like as much as I hope you did making it. So if you did, please share the video to as many people as possible. It helps you guys. It helps the channel.
And you should really subscribe to this channel and like it, because he put me through a lot today for this video, I have to tell you. There are some videos on the screen right there that are going to further help you to improve your health. Wellness Warriors, I'm always so happy that you guys come back, and everybody who's new, welcome. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I really can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Talk to you next week.